And here's something else that's not ending soon. The pandemic. Thanks to the multiple new variants of COVID-19. Reports say a new COVID-19 variant is spreading quickly in the UK. It goes by the name of Eris. How fast is this variant spreading and how lethal is it? Our next report explores.
A new COVID variant is on the prowl. It goes by the name of Eris or EG 5.1 and accounts for 1 in 10 COVID cases in the UK. When was this variant discovered? How fast is it spreading? And how lethal is it? Let's find out. To start with, when was this variant discovered? Well, Eris was initially identified as a COVID variant only on 31st July. It was discovered to be a subvariant of the Omicron strain. UK's Health Security Agency said it was spreading at a rapid pace. How rapid? What is the transmissibility rate of the variant? Well, not many details are available about the transmission rate of Eris. But if we go by the surge in COVID cases and hospital admissions in the UK, they indicate that sitting back calmly won't really help. Just like other COVID variants, this one too is likely to infect many. According to reports, in the week beginning July 10th, approximately 11.8 of UK sequences were identified as Eris. The data from August indicates that this figure has climbed to a worrisome 14.6% of all cases. What about symptoms? Are we seeing a change in symptoms? Not really. So far, there have been no reports of new symptoms. Experts say Eris too has inherited the symptoms of previous strains, like runny nose, headache, fatigue, sneezing, and sore throat. And the most important question of them all, what is driving the surge in cases? The first reason is bad weather. Due to the heat, many people are staying indoors, and due to less air circulation inside the homes, people are ending up catching respiratory infections easily. In some cases, these infections make them more susceptible to catching COVID-19. The second reason is the waning immunity from COVID vaccines. Experts say taking COVID vaccines and booster shots can strengthen immunity in people. And in case you're down with it, be isolated. Get tested and maintain proper hygiene. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Have you been dreaming of traveling to Italy? Well, other than the pastas and the pizzas, here is another addition to the list. A free pass to get drunk and yet reach home safely. You heard that right. If you have a couple of extra drinks in Italy and are not in a state to drive back home, you will not have to worry about booking an expensive ride. You will not have to appoint a friend as the designated driver either, because the government will sponsor your ride home. Here's how this will work. Revelers who appear too drunk while exiting a party will have to take an alcohol test, and if they are over the limit, a taxi will be called to take them home safe. And here's the fun part, it will be at the state's expense. The funding will be provided by the Transport Ministry, from Puglia in the south to Tuscany and Veneto in the north. The pilot project, in fact, will run until mid-September at 6 Italian nightclubs. What is the motive behind this? Of course, to rein in drunk driving and also to curb deadly accidents. Driving under the influence of alcohol is a major cause of road crashes in Italy. In fact, the level of acceptance of drunk driving in Italy is higher as compared to other EU countries. Just 20% of Italians think that they will be caught if they drink and drive. Based on the National Police data in 2020, in fact, 9.2% of the injury crashes were related to drunk driving. Approximately 26,000 fines were issued for drunk driving. Italy is one of the world's favorite travel destinations. Millions of tourists visit it every year, and people don't tend to count their drinks while on a vacation. The scheme kicked off over the weekend. So far, it has largely received a positive response. Many are happy about the free ride home. Others say it will significantly reduce car crashes on the roads. On the first night itself, 21 people were taken away in the government-funded taxis. People now have an excuse to party even harder, it seems. While all that is well and good, the project has also been criticized. Critics argue that it unjustly rewards people who drink too much, and rightly so. Not having to worry about getting back home safe will let partygoers take an extra drink or two. It is a smart move by the government for more than one reason. The alcohol consumption will likely go up, so will the revenue. More tourists will come in, ultimately boosting the country's economy. And as you already know, road accidents will dial down. Overall, it seems like a win-win situation for Italy. Do you know the meaning of the word hysteria? It is a state in which a person cannot control their emotions. Do you know where this word comes from? It is derived from the Greek and Latin words for uterus. For the longest time, hysteria was considered a mental disorder that plagued only women, something that came along with the uterus and feminine hormones. You heard that right. Doctors, in fact, readily diagnosed women with hysteria for anything that made men uncomfortable. Today, you and I know better than believing in this sexist theory. But there is one whole country that does not. That's Iran. It is back with its hijab rule, and women who are not complying with it are being sent off to psychiatric centers. That's right, they are being labeled mentally ill. After months of protests, hundreds of hijabs burnt after Mahsa Amini's death, Iran's moral police was back on roads, harassing women to cover their heads. And as if that was not enough, now the country's judiciary is resorting to medical solutions, as if exercising free will is a mental condition. Healthcare organizations have raised concerns. They are warning that the judiciary is hijacking psychiatric medicine for its own purposes. This is scary to say the least. And the face of this movement is Iranian actress Afsaneh Baygan. In a symbolic act of defiance, Baygan has repeatedly posted photographs on Instagram. Have a look. As you can see, her hair is uncovered. She is not giving in to the hijab mandates. Baygan has also attended a public ceremony without a hijab. She is openly defying the hijab law. How did the Iranian authorities react to this is the immediate question. Well, they announced a 2-year suspended prison sentence for Baygan. They also ordered her to visit a psychological center once a week. What for? Well, to treat her, quote-unquote, anti-family personality disorder. Let me just say that again, anti-family personality disorder. Have you heard of this before? You might not have, unless you live in Iran. It is the latest tool the hardline regime is using against women. The country is failing so miserably to enforce its laws that it is now trying to gaslight women, to make them and the society believe that something is wrong with them. Afsaneh Baygan is not alone. In fact, Iranian judges also diagnosed actress Azadeh Samati. What symptoms, quote-unquote, did Samati show? She wore a hat instead of a hijab at a funeral, and she will also have to seek weekly therapy in a psychological center. And then there is actress Leila Bolokat. She has been sentenced to 1 year in prison, banned from acting and traveling for 2 years. Bolokat is also barred from using social media for 5 years. She will have to read a book and provide its summary to the authorities within 1 month. Another woman was sentenced to 2 months in prison, 6 months of psychological treatment. Apparently, she had a contagious psychological disorder that leads to sexual promiscuity. In yet another case of extreme punishment, A Tehran court sentenced a woman to spend a month cleaning corpses in a morgue. The authorities are not even sparing children and young girls, by the way. The Education Minister, Yosef Nouri, has admitted this. Now, during the Mesa Amini protests, school children were detained in the streets or at school. They were held in quote-unquote medical psychological centers. They were re-educated, quote-unquote, to prevent anti-social behavior. You see, Iran is trying really hard to brainwash women. First of all, this is not the 18th century anymore. You see, this trick might have worked back then, but in today's day and age, it will not fly. Secondly, how can a judge diagnose someone with a health disorder? Last we checked, it was a doctor's job. How is a judge qualified to sign off a woman as mentally ill, quote unquote? He's not. Women are stepping out without hijabs. The government of Iran does not know how to deal with this. It is the first time women have so openly defied the hardline laws, gone out against the regime. The authorities are desperate and they are turning to extreme punishments. Women are being charged with hefty fines. They are getting text messages if spotted driving without a hijab. Authorities, in fact, are confiscating vehicles. They are pressuring employers to fire women. Unveiled women have even been refused hospital treatment. Shops catering to them are being forced to shut down. And the crackdown is not likely to slow down anytime soon, by the way. Despite all of this, but women of Iran are defying the hijab mandate.